So I think the SPDC represents the best way to get started. My name is Nicole Johnson. I'm the owner of Jet Locker, and I'm a young entrepreneur through the Small Business Development Center. We're a freight forwarding company, and our lockers are open 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. And so they have a wide range of time to come and pick up, whereas they don't have to leave work or try to make it here on their lunch hour to collect their items. The advisors, they are knowledgeable. They try their best to connect you to the right people, whether it be from an accounting perspective, from a technical perspective, or whatever they find to be necessary to your business at the time. And so if you want to know more information about JetLocker, you can visit us at our website, jetlocker.co, or you can also send us an email, hello@jetlocker.co.
For more information on how you can become an apprentice or mentor for the Young Entrepreneurs Initiative, contact the SBDC at 461-SBDC or email info@sbdcbahamas.com.
Is a newly established Bahamian-owned manufacturing shoe company. I founded this business as I looked at the various stores locally. It was evident that the Bahamas heavily relies on imports. While bridging the manufacturing gap will be a generational project, Island Soles aims to be one of the many local companies leading the charge. Since I joined the SPDC, my journey has been filled with many success stories. Access to capital enables me to travel the world in search of becoming a certified shoemaker. From the windy cities of Chicago to the bustling streets of London to the fashion capital of the world, Italy, I was in search of the best and brightest in the footwear manufacturing industry. Today, with the assistance of SPDC, I am now a certified shoemaker specializing in the production of luxury footwear.
For more information about the Young Entrepreneurs Initiative, call us at 461-7232 or email funding@sbdcbahamas.com.
Good evening, everybody. How are you all this evening? Welcome to the second session for the Young Entrepreneurs Initiative. My name is Preston Ferguson Jr. I am the marketing coordinator here at the Small Business Development Center. And once again, it is such a pleasure to have you all here tonight to discuss everything strictly Young Entrepreneurs Initiative. So please feel free to utilize this chat from me. I'm very interactive. This is the time where we want to be able to answer all of your questions while also dispelling any rumors or any connotations, any fears, any ideas while we get ready for the boot camp and how we can ensure by putting ourselves in the best possible position to receive the $10,000 grant. So very good to see you all here this evening. What we'll do, we have our very amazing business analyst, Mrs. Kendiria McKinney, about to give us a wealth of knowledge on the Young Innovators program, the Young Innovators Bootcamp, excuse me. But while speaking a bit more in depth about our Young Entrepreneurs Initiative, and same format as we always do, everybody, at the end of the presentation, we're going to have a very interactive question and answer. So please feel free to to type your questions in, or if you're feeling bold, you can always unmute your mic and join the conversation that way as well. So without further ado, I would like for the legendary and iconic Kendiria McKinney, SPDC business analyst.
Good evening, everyone. That was a lot of hyping up, but good
That was.
Pleasure to see you guys. So just give me a moment to share my screen. So you can just confirm in the chat if you can see my screen, everyone. All right. So again, welcome. The last time I saw you guys, we were in December. So happy New Year to everyone. But what's amazing is that over the Christmas break, while everyone was out shopping, we have had 459 entrepreneurs registered for the Young Innovators Bootcamp. And that is amazing because it says that you didn't get distracted by the sales, the carnival, all of the amazing things that were happening. And we are so proud of you guys that made it to this point. And so definitely you guys will be represented on the islands of New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Exuma, Long Island, Cat Island, all of our family islands. And we are so proud of you guys. We're happy to have you be a part of this program. So we're just going to be doing a little bit of recap. Again, like Preston has said, answering a bit of your questions, making sure that everyone is hyped and ready to go. So like we said, 459 applicants. And I think we had to adjust that number, but let's stick with that for right now. So among you amazing innovators, and that's what we're going to be calling you throughout this program, our amazing innovators. The applications or the industries rather that were most popular were beauty, and that came to supplies and services. We loved it. Food and beverage, fashion, professional services, entertainment, tourism, arts and crafts, printing and signage, agriculture, that's important, media, technology, and construction. It's a pleasure to see that amongst our young individuals. Now, for our training topics, I know we would have discussed this, you would have seen this on our social media pages. We're going to be discussing building a sustainable business model. That's session one. Following that is evolving digital marketing strategies. Next, mastering financial literacy and budgeting skills. Navigating the legal aspects of entrepreneurship, integrating innovation and adaptability in business, embracing customer centric business practices, networking and relationship building, linking and social entrepreneurship and community impact. Now, there are 8 sessions, like we said, and those sessions will take a those sessions will take a hybrid model. So on Wednesdays, don't forget, so on Wednesdays, 6:30 around this time, we're going to have that virtual session on Zoom. And on Saturday mornings, we are going to have those in-person bootcamp sessions where there will be the teams that are breaking out and really taking part in those activities that are business related, team related, network related. And we're looking forward to each person being here. Now, just to touch a little bit on that, so I want to stay on this a little bit. I know a lot of persons have had some questions regarding, well, is my island represented on what's going to be happening? So I just want to point out that in Nassau and Grand Bahama, we'll be having those hybrid sessions. So that would mean on Wednesday, we're going to be having the virtual sessions, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then on Saturdays, we're going to be having those 8:30 p.m. Sorry, a.m. 8:30 a.m. guys. 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. We're going to be having those sessions and we want to make sure that everyone is there. We want to make sure that everyone is on time. So some of you, well, all of you should have received the case study of Upcycle Couture, which is a fictional business that transforms waste into high-end clothing and accessories. And so if you haven't received that, you guys can indicate in the chat and we will make sure that you have that. So throughout our 8 sessions, we're going to be making sure that our activities and our presentations are based on this particular business. So we want you to use the research that you'll be doing. We want you to now use your imagination. We also want you to use the documents that have been forwarded to you to now follow along with our presenters, make those conclusions, because all of this is going to tie in at the end of the session, or throughout the session rather. Attendance requirements. So this is important. Young innovators will gain valuable insights on how to operate profitable and sustainable business throughout the 8 training sessions. Now, you will gain or earn rather a training certificate, and then to qualify for that grant, you must attend the 8 training sessions. This is a must, guys. So definitely, again, we want to see you. And here's why we want to see you. We don't want anyone calling us and saying, well, oh, I missed out on the opportunity because I couldn't make it. We definitely gave you guys an opportunity to indicate on your application forms if there was something preventing you from attending the Saturday in-person sessions, whether that may have been for religious reasons or for work purposes. So we would hope that you guys were paying attention to that and making sure that you are up to every session. So I don't know what it is that you may need to do. I want you to start thinking about those items now. Maybe you need a babysitter. Maybe you need someone to cover your shift. Maybe you need to make sure that your schedule is clear. There's no one calling you. You need to iron your clothes before time. Whatever it is, you cannot miss any of the sessions, because these sessions is how will be how you become successful for the grant. Now, we understand that with 459 applicants, it may be difficult to answer every question in our sessions. But to combat that, or rather to solve that issue, we will have our Zoom chats and we're going to have our survey forms. So in our survey forms, you'll be able to submit your questions to have them answered, or throughout your Zoom chat. And we will definitely have 4 mentors who will be invited to a roundtable discussion to answer that. And this is amazing, guys, because we
You have
have
to
some of
go to
the
the
most talented mentors. We have the most talented mentors who will be able to give you so many different perspectives, whether it's from the experience or the length of time, what it is that they would have encountered. You will have persons who will bring a different point of view from the different industries to your questions. Now, this one is important. So I know we are the youth. No one can tell me different. So we're definitely youth. And so we want to talk about appropriate attire. Now, in our in-person sessions, we understand that we have some beautiful bodies out there. But because this is a boot camp session, we want to make sure that everyone is comfortable as they are taking part. We want to make sure that as you do the rope climb and as you go through the tunnel, we want to make sure that everyone is covered and well presented. And so this is just an example of what you should be wearing: a t-shirt, a sports pants. No, no, none of the clothes that show the beauty of your body. Okay? So we want to make sure that you guys are covered, make sure that it's a leather gear. If you're wearing a jeans pants, make sure that it's something that you can be active in. You want to make sure that, again, we're covered and making sure that yet still we're comfortable, because we want to make sure that every person can participate in the challenges that will be presented at the bootcamp sessions. Now, each of you young innovators have been broken into 22 teams throughout New Providence and the Family Islands. Now, you should have received that email today. And again, if you did not, kindly send us an email, or you can drop it in the chat. And if you take a look at some of these, different group names, you will recognize that each of them are popular inventions. Now, I don't know about you. When we call you young innovators, we mean it. We're saying that to you so until you believe it. So Team Catalyst, Team Electric, Team Engine. I mean, I like the engine. You know, engines help you to go all over the place, all over the globe. So, whatever your team is, understand the meaning, and your mentors will be discussing that a little bit more with you. And again, if you have not received that email, you can submit that in the chat or you can shoot us an email regarding the same. So, we want to talk about that mentor support. So each team will be assigned a mentor who will provide support in the following areas. Facilitate open communication amongst our team members. And this is going to be via WhatsApp. Advise the team leader on how to strategically approach team challenges. Address questions and concern about information shared in the training sessions. Of course, we're going to be your hype man, celebrate the team's achievements at the graduation ceremony, and encourage social entrepreneurship and nation building. And so I want to point this out. While your mentor is there to support you, your mentor is not there to do the work for you. Each team, through every challenge, is going to be building points. And at the end of the session, the team with the highest amount of points will be moving forward to I would say, I guess, a grand challenge where each one of them will compete, and we'll have some more details. So each one of the 5 teams that will be selected, so that's 5 opportunities to win. That's 5 opportunities to be the best. 5 opportunities for you to come out on top. So each one of those 5 teams will have an opportunity to grow up against each other at the grand challenge. So we're going to give you some more information on that. But I just want you to keep in mind that every challenge that is introduced to the group is a challenge that matters. It's a challenge that comes towards points. It's a challenge that goes up against your game. That goes towards your team's points. There will be prizes. And again, it's a great opportunity to network with many people who will be a part of this program. So we mentioned that the WhatsApp groups. So we definitely understand that there are many of us who don't like the WhatsApp groups, but it's very, very important. It's very, very useful. And so we want to encourage our teams to hold in-person meetings and virtual sessions. And definitely want to make sure that these WhatsApp interactions are going well, that they're not being annoying, that we do some housekeeping rules. And so, just like any other group that you're going to be a part of, we want to ensure that there is respectful communication. So, we are all professionals, business owners, budding entrepreneurs or seasoned entrepreneurs. And so, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we're maintaining a tone of respect and professionalism in all of our messages because in our groups, these are our team members. So why shouldn't we be respectful? Timely responses. Strive to respond promptly to each message and effectively communicate with effective communication and a timely collaboration. So again, we're talking about those challenges, and of course, those challenges have a due date or a particular timing on them. You want to make sure that you're making your contribution in time. Problem resolutions. If conflicts arise, address them diplomatically within the group or seek the mentor's assistance to maintain a positive group environment. So we want to make sure that these groups are positive as possible. We want to appreciate diversity. Each one of us are different. We have different backgrounds. We have different ideas for what it is we want for our businesses, and even what we want to see as the outcome of this program. So we want to make sure that we are being respectful towards each other, that we are appreciating the diversity that's coming to the table. And the last part, this is so important, upholding the confidentiality of those in the group, of the team discussion. So that means that if you have a challenge over there in your group, that means that you shouldn't be going over to another team, screenshotting what's in there and sharing that information. It's all confidential. It's all confidential. So you want to make sure that you're respecting the privacy, not just of team discussions, of anything that your team members would share, and you want to avoid sharing sensitive information outside of that group. All right, and so graduation ceremony. And this is the highlight, well, not the highlight. This is one of the climaxes of our program. And so during this ceremony, we want to celebrate those who have successfully completed the Young Innovators Bootcamp. So this is a hybrid event and it's scheduled tentatively, so that means it's subject to change, tentatively for February 19th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And so, of course, as time goes on, you can follow our social media pages. You can make sure that you are tuning into your emails. So the emails that you apply for the grants, that you use to apply for the grants, make sure that these are the emails that you're checking because this is how we're going to be communicating with you. We're also going to be communicating via our YouTube page, which is Access Accelerator, again, via YouTube. So make sure that you're following us on the various platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I want to do a stretch and say LinkedIn, but don't quote me on that. But make sure that you're following us on each of these platforms. This is where we're going to be. YouTube is where we're going to be hosting our roundtable discussions. This is where you can now come in. You can, and the good thing about YouTube is that you can share a link. Maybe somebody was kind of skeptical about the boot camp, and you can say, hey, based on what's on social media, based on what's on YouTube, I want to share this with you. So that next time you can join us. So you want to make sure that you're following us and making sure you're staying up to date with the different developments. As always, we look forward for your participation, not just in this bootcamp, but also supporters of any other initiatives that we may have. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us on our numbers, which is 461-7232, and our email, which is info@sbdcbahamas.com. And of course, you can always check our website, accessaccelerator.org. And I think I would have covered everything. So I'm going to open the floor for questions. Preston?
Yes, no, thank you so much, Kandiria. I definitely would want to quote you that we are indeed on LinkedIn and TikTok to also ask.
Excellent.
So just to add to that, but at this time now, everybody, I do see that we had a whole heap of questions on whole heap of emails coming on in person saying that they didn't get the email. Now, I guess my folks on my end here, I do see some of the emails that are being posted saying that they didn't receive the emails. I would implore you to check your junk mail, maybe your spam, even if you have a newsletter notification album. I would say to check that because it does show on my end that you have received those emails. At least on my end, after perusing a few of the questions that I saw. One of the questions that's definitely been rolling up in our chat here has been, if I'm on an island that does not have, like we've listed, Nassau, Grand Bahama, what about me? And to that, I say, my people, once indicated on our registration application, I would definitely implore you that you will receive your very own Zoom link to join us virtually for those sessions. And as well, that we'll be posting them on YouTube for you to have an even more in depth of the presentation, as well as the PowerPoint being stated as well, too. So just want to put that out there as well. Um, I had a fun question here. I had a James Pratt ask which team that he was in. James Pratt, you are on Team Navigator. Just to throw that out there for you, in case if you guys haven't seen it, I would implore you one more time to just check your in terms of the spam or of anything there. But at this time now, we will open the floor now to have any questions. If you have any questions inside the group chat, you can add them there. If I do see you ask, I will be able to check that out as well. Felice, go.
Preston, did we say where the boot camp will be in Nassau and Grand Bahama?
No, we did
No,
not.
we
We
did
did
not.
not.
So I'm super excited.
Thank you.
I did say for
Thank
Grand Bahama
you.
that we will be setting that location on out if we're ready to announce that, Felice.
Yes,
If
we are. So for Grand Bahama, you guys will be being hosted at the Raven Mall. Again, like Preston said, we will be sending this out via email, but at the Raven Mall is where you guys would be having your boot camp hosted.
Oh, yes. And in New Providence here, we will be posted at the Loyola Hall here on Gladstone Road that can definitely house a lot of physical activity as well as be able to be comfortably be in a position to absorb that knowledge that we have for you all on each and every Saturday, starting this Saturday, but really virtually on this Wednesday, all the way up until February 10th. So let's get into the questions. So I do have some persons here asking, what about Abaco? Abaco will be virtual, everybody. Abaco will be indeed virtual. I do see Carlin McFarlane, did I pronounce that correctly? With your hand up, you can unmute your mic and go ahead and ask your question for us.
Yes, good night.
Good
My
night. How are
question
you?
is, I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I'm great. I'm even better to hear your
My,
voice.
thank you. My question is, what happened is I registered early and I didn't get to put my executive summary in my first application. So I was told to reapply. But when I reapplied, I had to use a different email because it wasn't allowing me to use the first email. But I got my boot camp and I got a team for the first email. For the first email that I applied for, but the second email that's the actual email with everything, all the criterias. I didn't get a team for that. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Can you go ahead and send us an email at the address that's on the screen, info@sbdcbahamas.com, and basically just outline what you just stated. And then you
Okay,
also
all right.
mentioned that you had to resubmit your documents under another application. So all of those documents were submitted.
Yes, the second application, everything was submitted.
Okay. All right. So please just send us an email this evening so that we can take care of that right away.
Okay, that's the SPDC at Gmail.
Info@sbdcbahamas.com. It's right on the screen. Info@sbdcbahamas.com.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Not a
You're
problem.
welcome.
Thank you. All righty, we have another question here. I see James Pratt, your mic is unmuted. Do you have a question for us?
No, it's straightforward.
Thank you so much. Another hand raised here. I see Miss Roxanne Smith. Roxanne, do you have a question for us?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Yes, quick question in regards to the Wednesday virtual night. So just now, my Wi-Fi was kind of in and out. So let's say I'm on and I'm ready to go for Wednesday because I know obviously all 8 days are mandatory. Let's just say I go on Wednesday and my Wi-Fi bumps out. Will it be recorded or like how can I like catch up? Because I was technically there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. For sure. So we will be for those persons who will be registered in terms of seeing the webinar, we will be repurposing the videos that we are doing hybrid for Wednesday, and we will be posting to our YouTube and resending that out in case any persons might have missed that. So that's not a problem at all. We will be sure that you all have that content to review as long as you are there to register for the night of. So definitely not a problem at all.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Just making sure I'm not forgetting my Zoom chat here. Okay, going through a question here by Mr. Theodore Swain. Will the persons that aren't able to make Saturdays in-person meetings be penalized in terms of points and be able to win the grants? Kendi, I'm going to toss that one to you just to make sure.
Hi. So now, when you're saying that you can't make it to the Saturday sessions, we must account for the fact that we are nonprofit. Each one of these sessions have been budgeted. So we're expecting that each person makes it out to the Saturday sessions. Now, if you're one of those persons that has indicated on your application form that for the purposes of work or religious reasons that I can't make it out, then that is completely different. But if you haven't indicated that, we're expecting that each person attends the session in order to qualify for the $10,000 grant.
Yeah, when I asked the question, I was referring to religious reasons. Sorry.
Okay. Was it indicated on the application?
Yes.
Okay, so once it's been indicated on the applications, provision has been made for that. So your mentor or someone via email will reach out to you.
All righty. So moving on with questions there. So I just see someone was as I keep seeing them in person ask there which group they're in. Sandal Ferguson, you are a part of Team Circuit. So I would implore you just one more time, if you can, check your junk mail, check your notifications or your newsletters. You are a part of Team Circuit and have been applied to that one. So we will be resending out the listing just in case persons who haven't gotten it, just to double check one more time, and as well as the emails coming on, and we will be able to peruse those to ensure that everyone has gotten the information as well as the case study. So moving on to questions here, I see Mr. Owen Coakley has his hand raised. Owen, you can unmute your mic and we can go ahead and answer your question.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much. I just wanted to confirm, I started a bit late, so I want to know if the Wednesday session will be virtual and the Saturday session is in person. And also, I can't recall seeing an email where I was placed in a particular team. So could you probably research that for me, please? Thank you.
Certainly not a problem, not a problem at all. Candiria, do you want to handle that first one while I get his second answer?
Sure, not a problem. So, Mr. Coakley, that is absolutely correct. Our Wednesday sessions across all islands will be virtual, and on the islands of New Providence, just wanted to make sure my mic was unmuted. So, on the islands of New Providence and Grand Bahama, there will be in-person bootcamp sessions. For the other islands, we will be making provisions for a bootcamp sessions, or at least for you guys to attend virtually via either Zoom or recording. But again, we will get that information out to each of you.
And then
I'm sorry, I getting this conflicting. You said yes, it's virtual, but then you said it's also in person. Is that what I'm getting?
Yes. So it's a hybrid session for Grand Bahama and New Providence. So across all islands, on Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. through 7:30 p.m., it's going to be virtual. And on the islands of New Providence and Grand Bahama, there will be the Saturday sessions that begin at 8:30 a.m. Now, if you're not on those islands, all of the sessions will be virtual for you. Does that clarify that, Mr. Coakley?
Yeah. So what you're saying then is that the Wednesday for New Providence and Grand Bahama will be hybrid. So
No,
No.
Mr. Coakley. Mr. Coakley, which island are you on?
New Providence.
Okay, so on Wednesday, you have to join the session online. So we're going to send you the link. Then on Saturdays, so we have 4 training sessions on Wednesdays, 4 training sessions on Saturdays. So for the 4 training sessions on Wednesdays, you join online. For the 4 training sessions on Saturdays, you have to come in person at Loyola Hall.
Unless you indicated that you aren't able to attend because of religious reasons or other reasons work-wise on your application, then yes, you'll be in person at Loyola Hall on Saturday. And you, my friend, are a part of Team Blockchain.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So keeping the questions going, my people, this is what we want to do. We want to be able to intimately ask your questions and answer them as well. So if there's any confusion, please do not feel shy at all. Please ask your questions in the chat, or as well, you can feel free to raise your hands and we can definitely call on you. Our next question we have on up, we have Mr. Kenneth Frazier. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Good day. My question was about the 10K grant form. I was applying for it on Friday evening, and the form would not go through. I wanted to know if there was anything that could be done about that, because I was trying. I think I sent you guys an email as well as a WhatsApp about it, but I never got a response.
Do you recall the time that you tried to apply?
It was about a little around 8 or 8:30.
Okay, so what I'll ask for you to do is if you can resend that email to helpdesk@sbdcbahamas.com.
Okay.
Do you have a screenshot with that as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so not a problem at all. You can attach that and you can send that in to us and we can handle your matter offline.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. So we do have a question here that's asking, when will the WhatsApp groups be activated? So they will be activated very shortly by the mentors as soon as we have a chance to revamp our list. So true transparency, we realized that there have been a plethora of other young innovators registered for the boot camp. So we want to be able to add those in. So before Wednesday, we will certainly have that WhatsApp group up and added for you all. So my next question I have up here, I have Mr. Cameron Knowles. Feel free to unmute your mic and we can definitely answer your question for you.
Good night, Preston. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Cameron?
I'm great. I was just following up because when I had applied for the boot camp, when I had tried to make it known that I couldn't make it on Saturdays, I wasn't able to submit the application. The only way I was able to submit it was after I clicked that I would be able to make it on Saturdays. So I tried to explain that to the Access Accelerator number on WhatsApp, and they said that they would change. They said that they would change it for me. I don't know if they made it clear or not, but I just wanted to make it clear now. If they didn't.
Not a problem at all.
Okay,
Sorry, go ahead, Felice.
Yes, sir, if you can just go ahead and send us an email, info@sbdcbahamas.com. And do you remember who you spoke to?
No, because I have the number saved as Access Accelerator. They never told me their name. I talked to them about the application, and we spoke, but we never exchanged names.
Oh, okay. All right. If you can send an email to info@sbdcbahamas.com. Preston, someone is asking, where is Loyola Hall?
Sure, I was just about to get to that question too. Loyola Hall is on Gladstone Road. If you're familiar with where Aquinas College is, the school, Loyola Hall is in the same yard as there. So, or even better, if you're familiar with where Access Accelerator is, we are right down the street. If you are, well, either way, whichever way you're coming from. If you're coming from Fire Trail Way on Gladstone Road, Loyola Hall being your left-hand side. If you're passing Access Accelerator headed towards Fire Trail, Loyola Hall being the right-hand side. So I hope that answers that question. If anyone else, let's go ahead with. I have Munnings. Miss Munnings.
Good night, everyone.
Hi, good night.
I call my question. I wanted to ask two very quick questions. The first one being, if you are sick, if you get really sick, say for instance you have COVID and you cannot attend a Saturday class, what happens then? And then the second question is, I am not certain that it was said, but I wanted to know the breakdown of winners. Is there one person that get $10,000 and then there's a few that have something lower? How does that go? I'm not certain if it was said. Thank you.
Sure. Not a problem. So I'll take your first question. I'll tag Felice in to take the second question. So for the first question, how that'll work is that if you do happen to miss a session, or if you do feel ill, we implore you to send us an email just to notify that so that we can have that on record. And as I mentioned earlier, we will be able to send the recording out to you, so you'll still be able to view that. So just if you don't feel as though that you'll be well enough to do so, or that you are faced with that situation, then you can always just shoot us an email. We can have that on file for you, and then we'll be able to email the recording so that you still be able to attend the session or be able to get a wealth of knowledge.
Right. Preston, I would just add to the same situation would apply if you're at work or you have a job and you're sick, you come down with COVID, you would provide the documentation to show that you're ill. I really want to emphasize that this is a very competitive grant. And so whatever you can do to increase your chances, do it responsibly, but just understand that if you're not attending the sessions, then it could affect your ability to receive the $10,000 grant. When Kandira was talking about the ultimate challenge, that grant prize is separate from the individual grant that you applied for previously. So this would be something in addition. So let's just say your team is the winner of that ultimate challenge, then that grant would be split evenly among the team members. Plus, if you were selected or if you were approved for the individual grant application, then you would also be entitled to that. This is another reason why we're really encouraging everyone to bring their best foot forward, to really collaborate with your teams, because this is what real business is like. It's all about fierce competition. And we have some very interesting challenges. So we want everybody to pull their weight and really bring your best innovation, your best ideas to the forefront.
Please, I do have another good follow-up question, just to allow conversation. So this person asks, executive landscapes, what if there's a situation whereas you have signed up for the Saturday boot camp, but have not been cleared by your employer to have all the Saturdays off? Do you think it's fair to be penalized in this regard, seeing as how not all the applicants are indeed physically partaking in the Saturday sessions?
Well, here's the thing. We're not offering in-person sessions across the Bahamas because it would be financially impossible for us to do that. So let's just say we had one person register in Inagua. We're not able to set up a boot camp in Inagua just to accommodate one person. However, in order to accommodate all of our family islands, regardless if one person signed up or 5 people signed up, they're still able to tune in virtually. So we're not going to penalize them because they live on an island of very few people, and so they don't have the large numbers to justify us setting up an in-person boot camp. In Nassau and Grand Bahama, that situation is very different. We have over 300 and some persons who've registered in Nassau, almost 100 persons who have registered in Grand Bahama. As I said before, this is a very competitive grant. If you did not clear it with your employer to have the time off, you may not be able to access the grant because a requirement of the grant is that you complete all 8 sessions. This is not a situation where there are 20 sessions or 50 sessions. And so if you missed 1 or 2, it's not material. There are only 8 sessions. And so what I would encourage you to do is to have a conversation with your employer now and ask if you can have that time off, if it is something you're really, really interested in doing in terms of accessing the $10,000 grant.
Alrighty, I hope that answers your question or gives you a little bit more insight on how fierce the competition is to receive this grant. So continue on with our question and answer. I see Shendi, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please feel free to unmute your mic and you can ask your question.
Hi, good night. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask if this recording would be available to us right afterwards because my computer went out a little bit at the beginning. And regarding the list, if it's the list of team members, because I wasn't sure what list you were referring to, but it's in the email, it's all the way at the bottom because I see
Yes.
there's repeated flyers, so they just have to probably stroll up, and it's there at the bottom though. And okay, and yeah, so just the first question, please.
Sorry, you mind repeating the first question to me, please?
Sure, if this recording would be available soon after this is over.
So not immediately after this is over, but will be sent to you first thing in the morning.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Okay.
So going back, let me just check out my question answers down here. So I have a question that asks, would the Family Islanders be disadvantaged for the Saturday boot camp? Do we have an alternative? So as we mentioned, everybody, we will be having hybrid sessions on the islands of Nassau and Grand Bahama. So if you are on an island that does not have an in-person session, you will not be disadvantaged. You have to be sure that you attend each session. Just that for you, all of the sessions will be virtual. If you are on an island that does not have an in-person session, and those in-person sessions will be on the islands of Nassau and Grand Bahama. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. So I do see another person here with their hand up. Please feel free to unmute your mic. You can access your question.
I recently signed up, and when I signed up, I was located in Freeport. Now, something came up whereby I had to come to Nassau immediately do the business because it's a very important link I would want with Bahama because I'm doing some contracted work for them. Now, I really don't want to miss out on any classes at all, in person or virtual. So, can me being from Freeport, can I attend a Nassau session or two? Depends on how long I'm going to be here because you said it's a 4-week span. And then if I so happen to go back to Freeport, do the final 2 there because I don't want to be missing any classes or anything like that. Who do I speak to or what do I do?
That's a good
Yes,
question.
you can send us an email at info@sbdcbahamas.com, but certainly you can attend the session in person from Loyola Hall, and
Okay.
we will have QR codes so that you can go ahead and sign in, and you just simply put your Grand Bahama as the island location. But send us an
Okay.
email advising that you're here for business, and so you'll be attending some sessions in New Providence and some in Grand Bahama.
Okay, and this doesn't have anything to do with my immediate WhatsApp group or the group I was placed in, right?
No, you'll still be in that same group.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Not a problem. Felice, while I still have you here with me, I do have a question to ask. Well, will Zoom links sessions be emailed prior to each session? Yes, they most certainly will. And following up with that question, do all of the in-person sessions entail physical activities, as some persons may not be able to engage in certain physical activity?
Okay, so the way that the physical team building challenges work. So let's just say in New Providence, we have over 10 teams. So on any given Saturday, Chikchani Churin, their personal trainer, he's going to ask, can I have 5 representatives from Team Echo or 5 representatives from Team Augment? If you're not physically able to participate, you don't have to be one of those persons to volunteer. So other members of your team can go ahead and participate in the physical challenge. Now, that said, if you're not able to participate in the physical challenges, your team may lean more heavily on you when it comes to the other challenges that's going to be assigned. So it's all about a compromise. So while you may not participate physically, you may be called on to do a little extra when it comes to the other challenges. Preston, I see we're running low on time, so I don't know. It seems as though, yes, definitely each session counts as one. If there are any questions we haven't already addressed, if we could squeeze them in before the 10-minute cutoff time.
Sure. Are you seeing that on your end there?
No, I'm just saying, I don't know. Are there any other questions that we haven't covered?
Oh, most certainly. There is one question that came up. There is a question just for clarity, Felice. I know we're mixing a lot of the boot camp and the ultimate challenge as well as the 10K grant. There's a question that wants just a little bit more clarity. Is there a prize for the winning group that is split equally? And then is there one main 10K grant or additional?
Okay, so that question was asked before, but so I'll go ahead and explain again.
Sure.
So when you registered initially, you also submitted a $10,000 grant for your specific business. That application has to go through a review process, and that has to stand on its own 2 feet as one application. When we're talking now about team challenges, that is a whole different matter. So not only do you have the opportunity to get a $10,000 grant for your personal business, by participating in these team challenges, you can earn additional funding if your team is the successful winner of the ultimate challenge. So these are 2 separate sources of funding. One is personal funding for your business, and the other is team funding, which will be split among the members of the team if your team wins the ultimate challenge.
Alrighty, I hope that provides a little bit more clarity. I see persons saying that they definitely understand that a little bit more now. I do have another question here, Felice, that says, if you apply for the boot camp, but not the grant, does it make sense to still participate? And I definitely would say that knowledge is definitely power, and knowledge is definitely a whole lot more, was worth a whole lot more than just a few dollars in this case. So I definitely
Sure.
would.
And I'd like to loop Candiria back into the conversation. I just chimed in a bit for some of those technical questions, but I'm sure Candiria would agree that funding is always great to have for your business. But if you don't have the proper skills, if you don't have the proper mindset on how to utilize that funding, you're not really going to maximize it to its full potential. This is why funding with training, with mentorship, with networking, all of these things have to come together. And that is what this whole bootcamp experience is about. That's why there is so much emphasis in terms of the training topics that will be covered. That's why there's emphasis on the team challenges. We're not thinking that, you know, you would become such a great team and you went through so many challenges together and then you never speak to each other after this boot camp is over. What we're hoping is that this boot camp helps you now to form collaborations outside of the boot camp, that you start to network with each other, support each other's businesses, think about projects you can mutually benefit from. And so, certainly, if you're not interested in funding, there are so many other opportunities that you can take advantage of through this boot camp. Another thing we did not really highlight, your team, as you are competing with some of these challenges are going to receive a lot of media attention simply because of the nature of the challenge. So, this is even an opportunity for you to showcase to the Bahamas what you bring to the table as an entrepreneur in terms of your level of innovation, your ability to think on your feet. So, there's a lot of benefits that we have not, you know, specifically outlined, but definitely the judges who are going to be part of the judging panels. These are persons who are at the top of their game. They will now be aware of who you are, what it is that you have to offer, and who knows what that could lead to. So certainly, we welcome you to be part of the boot camp. Candiria?
Yes. So in addition to Felice and what Felice has shared, I went back to the training topics. One in particular, navigating the legal aspects of entrepreneurship. And as a consultant, I can tell you that this one is major. And in order to hire a lawyer to get those agreements in, to make sure that you understand the type of business that you have, whether it's sole entrepreneurship, whether it's a partnership, that's costly. When we take a look at mastering financial literacy and budgeting skills, again, costly. And so, if you were to go there and hire an accountant for your business or a bookkeeper, I want you to think about the cost that you would be incurring, and just take a look at what we're offering. Building a sustainable business model. There's the next one that stood out to me. Definitely the networking and relationship building, but evolving digital marketing strategies. We don't know everything. And so everyday technology is changing. And so we have some of the brightest minds. So we also had questions of persons, well, hey, can I just join the bootcamp? I don't need the $10,000. And so the information that we're sharing is extremely valuable. If you don't think it's valuable for you right there and then, I think sometimes stick around in business long enough and it's going to come up. Maybe you need to help somebody else in business who didn't attend the bootcamp. And so again, this is valuable information, not for free, but accessible to you.
I see persons repping their set inside the group chat. I'm sorry, so I'm captivated already. I see microchips giving
I
their
see that. I see that.
Laura giving their shout outs. Who else I got up here? Let me just go through. Team Microscope, Team Hovercraft. Wow, these some really good names. I like these. Team Circuit is in the building, everybody. So I'm definitely super excited, everybody. We have some questions asking just before we wrap up. What should I bring to the in-person sessions? My people, bring your open heart, open minds. Come prepared for a wealth of knowledge. Come prepared to have fun. Come prepared to learn so much more how you can help expand your business. Come prepared to network, meet your team members. Those of you who are in person, be able to meet your team members that way. Be able to, I guess, be able to see how you can evolve. And let this be just such a stepping stone into what we have planned for you all in 2024. So by all means, please, outside of that, I would recommend maybe a notebook and a pen. If you don't, if you if you aren't the type to take notes on your phone, we would recommend definitely a notepad and a pen. Just take some notes if need be. So that's not a problem at all. Do we have any other questions before we wrap up for this evening, everybody? I want to make sure that everyone's prepared before the Young Innovators Bootcamp that begins this Wednesday, everybody. So for sure, this Wednesday, we will be virtual. So someone's asking for the schedule. Sure, no problem at all. Do we get a schedule for the 8 sessions? Yes, you sure do. The 8 sessions the schedule can be found on our website at www.accessaccelerator.org. They are all over our Facebook, our Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, you can find us there as well. If you definitely need to, we will begin our virtual session starting January 17th. In person, for those of you who will be in person. If not, for those not in person, virtual, January 20th. We'll go from January 17th, January 20th, following Wednesday after that, the next Saturday after that, and keep going up until February 10th. So by all means, please feel free to do so. If anyone happens to miss this recording, or if you need to go back to check over any information, by all means, we will be sending this video out through our YouTube link tomorrow morning. So by all means, don't feel as though that you've missed it. So you definitely will be able to tune that in. If you have any personal questions about your application or different things you might have submitted, email addresses, updating your phone numbers, please email us at info@sbdcbahamas.com. Give us a call tomorrow morning, first thing at 9 a.m. at 461-7232 so that we can correct that. So that's not a problem at all. So if there are no further questions, I do see my person still repping their sets. I hope that closeout was able to give you guys a bit more insight on the way forward. So please, by all means, if you do still have those questions, we will be not a problem. We have no problem answering those questions for you. I still have a minute and so if you have one more question, I don't mind squeezing one out. I do have a question here. Kandiria, can both business partners attend the in-person session or only one representative from the business? Are you both registered? That will be my first question.
That's the first question.
If you both are registered, by all means, we welcome you both. But if only one, if whoever's registered for the session, that's who we will be looking forward to that day. Correct?
Yes, correct. Felice, correct?
Silence gives approval. You'll take it.
Well, actually, if you can just send us an email, and the business, of course, would only be eligible for one grant. But if there's a situation where you really want both persons to attend, go ahead, send us an email at info@spdcbahamas.com, and we'll go ahead and accommodate you. And if you, and the thing of it is, if you're here in Nassau, definitely you can come to Loyola Hall. You can both watch it together on Wednesday. So I think we are only concerned about the Saturday sessions.
All righty, everybody, that is my time for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another info session for our Young Entrepreneurs Initiative, for the Young Innovators Bootcamp this evening. Everyone, I'm super excited to see you all in person on Saturday. For those of you who I will meet on Saturday. Otherwise, everyone else, I promise I'll still be your same best friend virtually as well too. So by all means, everybody, please, if you have any questions, if you have any updates you need to, by all means, please email us at info@sbdcbahamas.com. Give us a call if you feel as though that needs a little bit more at 461-7232 to see the full schedule of what we have planned for you all for these amazing 4 weeks. You can visit our website or our social media platform at sbdcbahamas.com or our website at www.accessaccelerator.org. So without further ado, everybody, let me one more time. Let me see you rep your sets. Which group is going to take the ultimate challenge? Let me see it right here in the chat for us. Please let me know. Let me know. Let me know. And without further ado, everybody, thank you so much again. Thank you, Candiria McKinney, for an amazing wealth of knowledge this evening. Felice Bethel, Deputy Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center, joining us in for chiming in for the question and answer. And me, Preston Ferguson Jr., your Marketing Coordinator. Thank you all so much and have a great evening.